What if in 2 hours you could be successfully on your journey into IT? Would you take the step? By the end of this episode, I truly hope that you will have started your IT path. You are listening to the IT Path Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Morrison. Let's go and help you claim your journey into IT. On a recent interview, Chris Tucker mentioned on the IT Path Podcast the following: we must forgive our former self for inaction. That means we must decide going forward to take action. Are you ready to take action today? Let's dig into how we can get unlocked and stay unlocked by managing our time and resources. After all, we all have the same amount of time. It's just a matter of how we use it. Welcome to the IT Path Podcast, where we want to get you moving and keep you moving on your IT journey. We want to get you unlocked and keep you unlocked. We want you to claim your journey into tech. If tech is your passion, we want to help you get there. We want to help you take your first step. We do not want you to be alone. We want you to move forward and keep moving on your IT path. Today, we're going to talk about time. This is going to be a hard episode, kind of like the last one was hard, right? As we talked last time about the voices that lie to us and how do we deal with them. Well, this week, we're dealing with something we all have, that's time. It is a limited resource and often goes unmanaged. If we let daily tasks blindly eat up our time, then we're left with nothing. And we make statements like, there just aren't enough hours in the day. Well, we know this is a lie, right? There are enough hours in the day. The fact is, we let things eat up our time. And the fact is, we don't spend time doing the things that we're truly feel called and passionate about. So this time goes unmanaged, and by letting it go unmanaged, it's kind of like the weeds in the yard, right? They just kind of grow up, and then all of a sudden, and in our backyard, actually right now, needs to be mowed. It's like mowing the weeds every week, to knock them down and to keep them at bay. So when you want something bad enough, you will change your habits to achieve it. But do you want it bad enough? When you want to learn something, you will dedicate time to it. So for me, that came in the form of a foreign language. I would listen to language training while I was out on walks. It was Portuguese, and I wanted to learn some conversational Portuguese. I was going to travel to Brazil, and I just wanted to know some basics. So I dedicated the time and resources. I got the audiobooks from Audible, and I started listening to these 30-minute segments on just very basic Portuguese. And when I went, my time paid off because I was able to carry on some very simple conversations with people, and they seemed impressed by what I knew about Portuguese. And so it all started with blocking out some time and going on some walks. And we have to realize that time isn't created, right? I didn't create time to go train. It's actually using time I already had. So I would do that. I'd go on walks and I'd listen to Brazilian Portuguese, and I would pick up phrases, little bits at a time, and I was able to practice them out loud by myself on these walks. I must look crazy if anybody walked by me. But that's what I did. And eventually it paid off. So that's an example. When you want to learn something, you will dedicate time to it. I hope that you will dedicate time to learning something in IT. I hope that you will dedicate time this week. And actually, by the end of this podcast, we should get you to a place where you're actually taking action on this. So I hope that you stick around to the very end. We're really going to unravel some things and get you moving on this path. When you want a deeper relationship with somebody, you will likely schedule time for them, right? So if you're in a relationship and you want to go on a date, you're going to schedule a time. You're going to schedule a time and a place, and you're going to get together with that person. You're going to watch a movie. You're going to eat dinner, whatever it is. And that is something, a relationship which is driving the way that you manage your time. And that's healthy. That's good. We're relational beings. We want to be around people. This is important. I know for me and my wife, Saturday and Sunday mornings, we just like to sit and drink coffee and catch up. It's like something that I really look forward to each week is just being able to sit down, unwind. There's no clear agenda. There's, yeah, we talk about things that we need to get done or whatever, but that's fine. We just sit and drink coffee and catch up and hang out with each other because we love each other. That's what we want to do. If you want to run a race, like a 5K, 10K, marathon, whatever, you will make the time to train. I say make time, but time is neither created nor destroyed. We will set aside time. We will block out time to train, to make sure that that training gets done. I trained and ran a 50-mile ultra marathon on my 50th birthday last year. And let me tell you, it was an incredible amount of dedication and training. I have the training. I kept my training plan so I can look at it as a reminder about getting something hard done. And I can look at this training plan that's got like 11 or 12 weeks on it. And it's got all these X's on the days where I've crossed them off. And I took notes about the shoes I was wearing and how I felt and all of that stuff, but it took a time dedication in order to get that done. It wasn't something that was just handed to me. Incredible events aren't just handed to us on a silver platter. We have to work for them. We have to decide to engage them. And by doing so, there's tremendous success. There's a tremendous achievement that we feel in the toil of whatever it is that we were working on to get to the place where we are. And that was, for me, last year, an incredible memory to be able to have all of the people in our cul-de-sac who ran checkpoints for me, my family there. It was just awesome. So I dedicated the time and resources to get it done. And there were days that I did not want to run. There were days that I was running 26 miles on a Saturday, only to turn around and run another 10 or 12 miles on Sunday, just to know what it felt to run on tired legs. However, all of the hard work paid off. It was a very special event, but it took a lot of time and dedication to get it done. Have you had something in your life that's like that you had to work hard at? Maybe it was education, school. Maybe it was something else. Whatever it is, those are moments, those are memories that we look at and that we cherish. When you want your yard to look nicer, then you will have to have the time to mow it. You'll have to block out time to go mow the yard. Oftentimes we say, well, I'll make time to do it, right? We know that time is not made nor destroyed. So it's a matter of blocking out the time to mow your yard. So we all do it. We all make time for the things that are important to us. The problem is mismanaging time. And now we end up missing opportunity that we think we might like to explore, but because we've mismanaged our time and resources, all of a sudden the opportunity slips away and we miss it. So that comes in various examples. I'm going to give you some examples here. This is definitely not an all-inclusive list, but let me give you some examples of time mismanagement. Phones. When we are bored, what do? We let devices suck away our time. It's like a baby sucking on a bottle of milk. When it's gone, and then we cry, I want more time. I need more time. Phones are time suck. Do you remember the first iPhone? I do. I remember how, like the BlackBerry, it promised to save us time by helping us have more organization in our lives, being able to access our calendars, our email, all of that stuff. Did it work? Nope. The fact is, if you can't keep your own time organized, no gadget is going to organize your time for you, right? If you can't do it yourself, if you haven't got the willpower to control the things that are happening time-wise, there's no gadget that's going to magically fix that problem. We don't want to give you a gadget today. We want to give you a methodology of thinking about how you use time, and hopefully will help you get unlocked and stay unlocked with regard to time. So after the phone was released, the iPhone came out, came the influx of time wasters, games, apps, social media, everything was time suck on the device. Sometimes we just pull the phone out of our pocket to look at its screen, which is kind of crazy to think about. I know you've probably felt it. You're bored in a grocery store, you're waiting in line. What do? Instinctively? You pull out your phone and you look around, and everybody else has pulled out their phones as well. I turn my phone on Do Not Disturb at 6 p.m. and then back on at 8 p.m. so that I know I have control of the phone and not letting it control me. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, why I choose those time slots, but I do not want my phone to control me. Another problem that we have is, as we talk about time mismanagement, we've talked about phones as being time mismanagement. Let's talk about this as time mismanagement. Saying yes to the things that are not important to us. We must learn to say no. I can't really commit to this. I can't do this at this time. I can't make that commitment. Instead of saying yes and making commitments, let's say, I'm going to think about that first. And then often the request will disappear. That's happened so many times. You know what? I can't commit to this right now. Let me think about it and get back to you. Give it some time, because if the other person is urgent and just wants a warm body to like help them move or whatever it is, then they might just find enough people to do it. So the problem will often take care of itself. So we've kind of we say I'm going to buy myself some time, right? So by giving them some sort of response, we're allowing a future response, or making a commitment to a future response. So think about that too. I'm going to have to think about this first. So now I'm making a thinking commitment. And now I'm also committing more time to giving a response. Wouldn't it be better just to say, you know what? I don't think I can do that. If you want to ping me, text me whatever day of. If something changes and I can make it, then we can go from there. But I'm just not going to commit to that right now. Often the request will disappear. If it comes back up, then you have a little mental bandwidth to think about it and think about it as a meaningful activity in your life. Is this a meaningful activity for me? So let's think about meaningful activities. And meaningful activities, man, there could be a whole podcast around this. But what are the things that bring meaning into your life and the things that take meaning away from you? Is it activity that gives you joy, or is it an activity that becomes a burden? Is it an activity that will create a long-term commitment and more time suck? Or is it an activity that will give you more freedom? So think about that when you're saying yes to things. So time mismanagement, we've talked about phones. We've talked about saying yes to things that are not important to us. Also, let's think about the things that creep into our lives that shouldn't, like work creeping into our personal life. This one is difficult for many of us. If we do not keep good boundaries, we find ourselves taking work calls after hours. We're adjusting vacation time around work. We're feeling a sense of obligation with our workouts, with our outside work time. And that is sucking time away from our personal lives. And we could go into more of this right now. I know something happened with me just recently. There's a problem that I can solve as I'm recording this podcast right now. There's a problem at work that I know I can solve. I know the solution. In my heart, I just want to go implement the solution. But now is not the time. No, now is the time for me to be recording this podcast, getting this done. So I must wait. I must communicate the solution with proper team members. So allowing work to creep into our personal lives, saying yes to things that are not important to us, and phones. Those are 3 things we've talked about with time mismanagement. One more, poor habits. Though this is a sum of the previous 3, it also still needs to be mentioned like on its own, because having poor routines in our lives will cause us to continually miss the things we really want to do, and then end up giving time to things that are the time suck, right? So let's talk about what this kind of means in relation to poor habits. Morning routine. Do you have a morning routine? For me, I have a very specific and detailed morning routine. When I wake up, I immediately get up, and that's usually between 5:30 and 6 a.m. I actually don't have an alarm set specifically for me. My wife sets an alarm, but I am I'm a creature of habit, and I find myself continually waking up sometime between 5:30 and 6 a.m. Sometimes it's earlier, but it's very rarely later than that. Then I drink water and I make coffee. Then I journal and pray. Sometimes this is for 60 to 90 minutes. Wow, 60 to 90 minutes every day that I'm able to give to this activity. And really not miss a beat on this. This is my this is my Sunday through Saturday, not just Monday through Friday. This is my Sunday through Saturday habit. If the weather is nice, I also will go take a walk, and I'll take time to pray and walk and consider the things ahead of me on that day. This is all part of my morning routine, and it, for me, cannot be disturbed. If it fails, my day falls apart. Time gets away from me. To make this work well, I'm going to go back to the do not disturb on my phone. I set it from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m. because 8 a.m. is when I'm supposed to be working at my 8 to 5 job each day. So I make sure that my phone is not on do not disturb at 8 a.m. just in case my boss calls me and we need to chat about an issue, whatever it is. I make sure that I'm available during my job. And then at 6 p.m., I put my phone on do not disturb. It does it automatically. I've got the schedule automatically set up. So automatically in the morning, my time is blocked out. My phone is not going to disturb me because it can't. Programmatically, it cannot. So I do my morning routine, and then it's about 7 a.m. So I get up between 5:30 and 6 a.m. I do my 60 to 90 minutes. And then I work on IT Path. I work on this. I work on the things for you all. This is specific dedicated time that I have in my day planned before work. And then I have more time after work, but this is part of that time is before work. Habits in our lives are critical. Bad habits eat up time. Good habits like eating well and exercise can bring us great joy. So don't give yourself over to the bad habits. What good habits do you have? Now, I've heard of the book Atomic Habits. I haven't read it myself, but I've heard of something called habit stacking, which you take one good habit, now you stack another good habit on top of it. Sounds like a very great practice. But like I said, I haven't read this book. You should maybe read it. I should probably read it. There's no question I should read this book. So I'm not just telling you a book that I haven't read, but just haven't. I've got a lot of books that I read, and that is not on my radar right now. So I will get to it later. You need to have good habits. There are plethora of ways to start developing them, but you have to start enforcing good habits. All right. So here we've been talking about time mismanagement, phones, saying yes to things that are not important to us, allowing work to creep into our personal lives, poor habits. Time is not made nor destroyed. You can't make time, although we use that phrase very often. As in matter of fact, in recording this, I've often said making time to do a certain thing, but that's not true. You can't make it or destroy it. We say things like, I'll make time to go out to lunch with a friend. We know that's not true. I'll make time to go running this afternoon. No, I'm just blocking out time to run, right? Well, we know it is just a phrase. Time cannot be created or destroyed. It's kind of like matter. However, time can be wasted. Can't be destroyed, but it can be wasted. How do you manage the 168 hours in a given week? How much time do you find yourself wasting time? When do you find yourself wasting time? Do you let time manage you? Are you intentional with it? What do I mean by letting time manage you? Well, here's what I mean. Like the grocery store, checking out of the grocery store, you get bored. What do you instinctively do? For most people, you reach in your pocket, you pull out your phone, you look at the screen, you glance around, you see if you need to move up in line, you glance back down at the phone screen. Do you strike up a conversation with the people around you in the checkout line? Do you have a checklist or a notepad or something to write on? Is there a book also in your pocket or your bag so that you can read a book and do something a little bit more constructive? Or do you just waste it standing there like there's nothing I can do about it? It's just the way life is. And look, everybody else is on the same journey. We're all in this journey together. We're all looking at our phones. Look at the commonality that we have as mankind. No, put the phone away. Do something more constructive. Or if you're going to have your phone, have task lists or something that you immediately, that's your go-to for your helping you control time waste. So we're going to pause. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the 5 steps to controlling time. Now, the 5th one is going to actually get you on your IT journey. So we'll be back in just a minute. Hey, this is Dana Morrison, host of the IT Path podcast, and I hope you are enjoying this week's episode. Are you interested in getting into IT? Let me ask you one simple question. What is holding you back? IT Path is dedicated to developing a community, content, and courses that will help you get unlocked and stay unlocked on your IT journey. I have more than 25 years experience in IT, and I want to share with you what I've learned and give you the tools to succeed on your very own IT path. Even if you are just starting out on your IT journey, we're here for you. To find out more, simply go to itpath.net and sign up for the mailing list, and we will start by sharing some tips, tricks, and tools to help you get going and keep you going. Go to itpath.net and claim your journey. Start your IT path today. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the episode. Okay, 5 steps. We're going to do 5 steps now for controlling time and to actually get you started on your IT journey. So we're going to walk through these one by one. These are very practical things that you can do. You can pause if you need to as you go through this episode. You can listen to it and jot it down. You can do it later, whatever you need to do. But these 5 steps, if you take action on these, you are definitely going to see some change. You're definitely going to experience some momentum on your IT journey as you're trying to figure out how to get started in tech. So 5 things. Here we go. We're going to create a time grid. 2, we're going to block out time. 3, we're going to change our mindset. We're going to protect our time. 4, we're going to make work visible. And 5, we're going to take our first step on this IT journey. We're going to do this together. Okay, so here we go. 1, create a time grid. I did this myself using 30-minute time slots on a piece of paper from 12 a.m. to 11 p.m. So 11:30 p.m. So here I'm going to explain what I did. You can do this however you need to, but basically you need to make all of the hours in the day visible. You can do this on a single piece of paper. You can take 2 pieces of paper and tape them together if you need to. However you want to do it, you can do it in Excel. I did mine in Excel, but you can do it however you need to make it visible. So every day, Sunday through Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm sorry, Saturday. Did I say Saturday at the beginning of the week? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You are going to put column headings across the top of your piece of paper. Then down the left column, you're going to write 12 a.m., 12:30 a.m., 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m., 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., all the way down through 11:30 p.m. These are 30-minute blocks of time. So set that up so that you can see it. Next thing you're going to do is that's your grid. That's number 1. We're done. Sunday. I'm really struggling with the days of the week today. Sunday through Saturday, across the top of your page, and then the time slots down the left-hand side. You're gonna write it all down. This will represent the 168 hours in a given week. We all have it. It's the same for all of us. We all have these days in our weeks, and you have these days in your weeks. So that now, step 2. So step 1's done. Step 1 of 5. Guess what? We're 20%. We're 20% through. Step 2, block out how you use your time and make sure to protect time slots for meals, work, spending time with family, etc. So block out the essentials, the essential things that you need to sustain life, sleeping and eating, right? block it out. So right in that section of time, I'm sleeping, I'm eating, whatever it is. You have mealtime maybe at a consistent time during the day, then write it down. You got 12 to 1, you got your lunch hour at work maybe, then write out eating. Now we can also use that time for something else as well. We can piggyback it with another activity like doing some IT research, whatever it is, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're just blocking out these time slots so that we can see this, because if we can make this what's invisible, time is invisible. None of us can look out and say, oh wow, look at the time. We say that, right? Look at the time. Well, you're looking at a clock, you're looking at a watch, you're looking at your phone's digital display that says, hey, the time is here. But we don't really see time. We don't see its passage. We see its passage in the form of movement, but let's make it visible so we can actually see what these blocks of time look like. So you've got this grid and you've started to block out some essentials, sleeping and eating. Block out relational. Dates that you plan to go on with your spouse this week, or some relationship that you have. Spending time with family, etc. If evenings, I know for us, we like to watch a lot of old TV shows. In the evening, it's watching Leave It to Beaver, Gilligan's Island, just some old shows. We like to do it. So I know that, and I'm in the habit of doing that at night. And I know that there's certain times at night that is just kind of like an expectation. So I've got those down here. Block out your time for financial. That would be your work, travel to and from, right? And get that on your calendar, on your schedule, on this 168-hour time grid. Let's make sure that we've got work blocked out, to and from work. Make some space somewhere for breathing room. Things will never work like clockwork in our lives. There's always going to be distractions. There's always going to be things that bump us 30 minutes one way or the other, traffic, whatever it is. So block in some breathing room somewhere. I know for me, my time schedule, which I have right in front of me, I have at 8:30 p.m. it says breathe. That's kind of like flex time. I can shift things into that time slot if I need to. So that's my breathing time. Block out time for meeting your new IT goals, your IT learning. Yeah, maybe you don't even know what that looks like yet. That's okay. We're going to get there. We're going to talk about that in number 5. Make sure you hang in here. Get this time grid done. Be able to see your time. Block out time for entertainment. And this is your starting point. All right. This is now you've started to make some of this time visible. You can see it. All right. Now that number 3. So first, create the time grid. Second, block out time. Number 3, now you can see where your time is. You can protect it. So this has to do with your IT career goals. It might be that you only have 30 minutes a day to work on your IT career goals. That's fine. It is a starting point. However, keep in mind that the more passionate you become about learning IT, the more time you're going to want to spend on it. There's probably going to be some things that you find less important on your time grid, and you're going to adopt some time from something else. Maybe you like to game, like play games online, and you're like, okay, that's now going to get eaten up with this other thing because I like to do this more than playing games right now in my life. So then you use that time there. So you got to play defense. Okay, so that's number 3. We're going to protect that this time. You have to play defense with your time. If you let this go, then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself, well, now I don't have the time to do these things that I think are important. I've let other things, saying yes to other situations, whatever it is, playing with your phone, whatever. You've allowed things to take that time away from you and you can't get it back. So we've created the time grid. We blocked out some time. We're working on this now mentally. How do we protect this time? Now, this time is visible, right? We tend to not do well with things that we cannot see. Time is something we cannot see. So take this grid and post it on your wall. Keep it someplace you can access it any time of the day and be reminded of why you are protecting your time. I have mine on this piece of paper right in front of me right now, and I have it in my notebook that I take to work. It's a personal journal with ideas and things that I'm working on, and I take it to work. I take it home. I can pull it out and see it anytime. Just like I actually have it with that training that I did for the 50 miler, because that reminds me of something hard that I've done. And if I can do that, I can do my time. I can manage my time. So it must be visible. So those first three things are done. We've made the time grid. We blocked out time. We've made this time visible so that we can protect it. And now we're going to make work visible. Different than time, let's talk about work itself. Now that you can see time, you can see space where you can focus energy on your IT career, and all of the little time gremlins that are going to want to eat up every bit of the day, we're going to have to deal with them. So what is a time gremlin? Time gremlins are things like, did you remember to whatever? Did you remember to do the dishes? Did you remember to wash the car? Did you remember to get the oil change? Did you remember to do the laundry? All these daily, weekly tasks suck up time. But remember, there is enough time to get these things done. You just have to be selective and remember how to control time. So we're going to keep this visible. So you're going to want to keep all of this work visible. The book, The Phoenix Project, mentioned in episode 3, I talk about WIP, WIP. That's the silent killer. WIP stands for work in progress. Every commitment, whether we can see it or not, is work in progress. It is a commitment, often a silent commitment, but it is a commitment nonetheless. When we say yes to people, we're making commitments. And those commitments, we can't just see them. We have to figure out how to visualize them. So we have to continue to cycle back into this making work visible, making these tasks visible, putting these things in our time grid, and not just let them suck up time where they shouldn't. So this commitment is to make work visible. Work in progress is the silent killer. It will drag you down. Making commitments but not having them visible is a real problem. You cannot forget the very critical things that you have to do and nobody notice, right? If you forget something very important, people are going to notice. People are going to remember, right? They're going to say, "Oh, guess what, honey? You didn't mow the weeds in the backyard. We didn't get groceries. We didn't do our laundry." All of these things, we have to try and keep them visible. So there's an endless barrage of these things. And there's no way that we can possibly get every little thing on our time grid. It's just impossible. So it's impossible for us to remember every little thing we have to do. So what are we going to do now? We're going to take a notepad and we're going to set a 20-minute timer. That 20-minute timer that's our limiter. We're not just going to say time suck all you want on this activity. Can't do that. 20 minutes. That's it. You brainstorm everything you can think of. It is important that you don't just start blindly doing tasks. You need to organize them later, but 20 minutes right now is what you need. 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes? Then pause this and do this activity right now. Set your timer for 20 minutes. Make a time assignment for everything on your, first of all, we actually have to brainstorm a list. We're going to do this twice. 20 minutes. Brainstorm everything you can think of. Take a piece of paper, start writing it down. Mow the yard, doing the dishes, meal prep, whatever it is. Start listing them out. Limit yourself to 20 minutes. If you run out faster than that, then that's fine. You could stop, but set your timer for 20 minutes and try to think of everything that you have to do and visualize it. Don't be overwhelmed. This can be an overwhelming activity. Getting all of this on paper kind of puts a lump in your chest, like, oh my goodness, look at all this stuff that I have to do. It's frustrating when you see this list. It's hard to deal with when you see this list. So don't get caught up into that. Let's just set a timer for 20 minutes and get them down on paper. That's it. Once you have these things down on paper, what you need to do is make a time assignment for everything on the list. How long do you think it is going to take to do this activity? It's going to take 5 minutes. It's going to take 5 days. Whatever it is, you're going to write it down next to the task on your list. You're not going to think about this too much. The whole idea is to start experiencing some time freedom rather than time suck. So this next 20 minutes is basically you're just taking your list and you're going through it and you're thinking about how long each of these things take. That's it. So you made your list. Now you've got some time associated with everything on your list. And then you're going to take these things and you're going to put them on your calendar. Put them on your phone, put them on a physical calendar, put them next to the fridge, do something so that you're going to be able to continually keep these things visible and to be able to get them knocked off one by one, day by day, week by week, month by month, and be consistent. So you can't get all of these tasks done in a day. So if you did this activity and you did the 20 minutes and you wrote them down on paper, and then you took another 20 minutes and you assigned time to them, and then you say, okay, I'm just going to go do those. Stop. Don't do that. Because if you start to get on that task, you're just going to get into this time cycle of this never-ending cycle of these things. So if you control them and put them on your calendar, that's a much better way to think about it than allowing yourself to try and get all of these things done. Because guess what? You're not going to be able to get all of these things done just back to back to back to back to back today. So control them, put them out there, organize them on your calendar, stick to it, talk about it with your spouse, make sure that you're on the same page, get these things done over time without having to feel just this incredible burden of getting all of this done at once. Okay. You're going to have some tasks that are going to overlap. And this is a good thing, but don't spend too much time on this. If you just simply have a mentality of keeping an eye out for overlap so that you can knock more than one thing off your list at a time when possible, then that's good. But don't get in this vicious cycle of trying to figure out on my list every little thing that I have to try and do. So when possible, like for example, let's say you have to get the oil change in the car and the oil change place is right across from the grocery store. And you know that you can drop off the car for the oil change, you can run across the street, you can pick up a few things, and then be back by the time the oil change is done. Hey, guess what? You've just stacked some activities and you've saved yourself a little bit of time there because you got 2 activities done at once. Or maybe take a book with you to the oil change place so that you can be reading a book or consuming something positive, a podcast or something. So get those things done when you can, but don't allow that to be a time suck for you to try and think about it, because you can just get in this never-ending cycle of, well, I can make my life super efficient. I'm all of a sudden going to make my life super efficient by stacking all of these activities. Well, don't go down that road. Just keep an eye out for it. Okay. So now here's where we're really going to make some groundbreaking improvement today. We've done 4 things. We've talked about these four critical things to time control. 1, creating the time grid. 2, blocking out time. 3, protecting time. 4, making work visible. And now we're on number 5, planning your IT career time. Finally, we're getting to the point, right? Finally, now we had to take that path to get here, because if we just give you number 5, guess what? You might just go back to the time suck tomorrow and you might totally miss being able to do number 5, which is why you're here, which I believe is why you're listening to this podcast. You actually want to take steps. You actually want to move forward in your IT career. And now we've got time suck out of the way, right? You've created a time grid. You're now thinking about your time in a different way. And now you're realizing, like, I am passionate about IT. I want to do this. I want to move forward. So let's move you forward in IT. That's the point. We're freeing up some resources so that we all have 168 hours in a week. We're freeing up some resources now so that you can take this step that you've been waiting to take and wanting to take into IT. So here we go. We're getting to this point to ask this question. How do you get started on your IT career? 1 to 4 is now out of the way, and you can realize that starting your IT career isn't that hard. You now have created time slots to get moving and keep you moving on your IT path, right? So that's on your time grid. You've got some 30-minute segments or 1 hour, whatever it is. You've planned some time in there to do some IT learning. And now let's talk about Kanban, because this is going to take you to the next level. This isn't just time control. This is work control. We're going to take you into a whole new level and introduce to you at the same time something that many IT directors out there use. People that are project managers use this. If you do programming and you're involved in an agile Scrum team, you're going to be doing this. It's called the Kanban board, and it is a board for doing the tasks that will get you unlocked and keep you unlocked and keep you moving. So here's how you make a Kanban board. To begin, take a piece of paper and fold it in thirds. Now, take a piece of paper like you're going to write it like a letter, and then turn it 90 degrees, right? So if you put it in front of you as if you're going to say, "Dear John," take it and turn it 90 degrees. So it's in landscape, right? So if you've printed in landscape mode before to print something wide, that's how you want to look at the piece of paper right now. So then you're going to fold it into 3 evenly spaced columns. You're going to take that piece of paper and you're going to fold it. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, so don't get caught up on that. If you're perfectionist, stop. Let's just get it done, okay? Try and fold it in 3 panels, somewhat evenly spaced. Doesn't have to be perfect. Open it back up. All right. Now you have 3 panels. Now, if you wanted to, you could take a pen and you could mark those lines, those creases that you created. So you're actually looking at 3 distinct columns. You don't have to do that. You get the idea. You got 3 panels, 3 columns in front of you that you're looking at. On the furthermost left column, right, you're going to write backlog. This is work being committed to. We're using terminology just like we would in IT. This is the backlog. This is what needs to be done. I'm making a commitment. These are my yeses, right? This is the yes I'm making a commitment to. The middle column is doing, and the last column is done. So you've got backlog, doing, and done. Write those across the top of each of those sections on your piece of paper. If you have sticky notes available, then get them. Otherwise, just use the piece of paper like it is. Doesn't have to be anything special. So we're going to do a little IT right now. We want to do this. We want to move forward. We're setting up this Kanban board, and the idea is to get us unlocked and keep us unlocked and moving forward on our IT journey, claiming our journey into IT, right? That's our mantra. That's what we want you to do. We know that you're passionate about it. We know that you've got, something inside you, a morsel in you that is saying, help me move forward on my IT journey. This is it right here. So backlog, let's make a commitment. You are making a commitment in IT. You're creating a backlog of time commitments to get to where you want to be. Right now, you don't really know where you want to be. You maybe don't even know how to get started. That's okay, because within 2 hours, we're going to get you started. No, this isn't this is no 2 hours additional in this podcast, okay? If you're looking at your phone or your device and you say, well, there's only like 10 minutes left. Don't worry. We're going to get you going in 2 hours. That's the research time investment we're going to make on your IT path. That's it. So there's one thing you need to write in your backlog right now. That's research my fit in IT. Put on it 2 hours. That's it. You've got one backlog task. Now, this task, research my fit in IT, must have time associated with it. That's why we said 2 hours. What you will find is, if you do a little research, that many people looking to get into IT never get past this one task. They research and research and research and never make any significant progress in their IT careers. They're stuck. They're stuck in time suck. right? They've allowed one task to become an everlasting time suck of watching videos, reading articles, researching various IT training certifications, but they never made their first step into IT. Well, we're not going to let that happen. That's why we've got a time limit on this one task. This backlog task has a time limit. Without creating the time limit, we're going to just cycle on it, never ending. So the reason that these people keep doing this research is because they never created a time limit for this task. And they've kind of just got this meant they don't actually physically looking at a Kanban board that says, I've got to get this done. They basically just have this idea, oh, research IT, research IT. So they never created a time limit. They think that it has to be perfect. They got to find the perfect match in IT. So have you heard this phrase before? Done is better than perfect. Perfect never gets done. We don't create perfect things. We just have to get things done. So rather than allow this task to sit on the board for an eternity, we have to create a constraint around it, a time constraint for it. This activity can take no longer than 2 hours. That's it. I'm done. We give it this certain amount of time. We eat up that time. Then we make a decision based off of what we've learned. So now you have one single task sitting on your backlog, research. That's it. Now, what I want you to do is take that task and move it to doing. So copy that text over and cross it out from backlog because now it's doing. Or if you've got a sticky note, move your sticky note over to doing. Now you're making a time commitment. You are researching right now your IT career. And guess what? My name is Dana Morrison, and I welcome you to your IT career journey. I am so glad you're here. Kind of say that in jest, but it's true. You've made a decision right now to move into IT, to do, or at least to research it. That's right. And I'm here with you. You aren't making this research step all by yourself. We're here with you. We're going to help you do this. So look at your calendar. You've got this task of doing right now. It's research IT. You've got that in your doing column. That means we have to take action on it. That means we have to block out time to get this done. So look at your calendar. Look at that 168-hour grid. Doesn't matter if it's 30 minutes a day for 4 days, or 2 1-hour blocks of time, or 8 15-minute blocks of time, or a single 2-hour block of time. It doesn't make any difference. At the end of this 2 hours, your goal is to have a new task or set of tasks to put on your backlog, and we are here to help you with it. So write this on your task. Take the IT skills and interest assessment. This is free. We offer it at itpath.net. You're going to find it in probably a couple locations on that page. You're going to see free assessment. We only have one assessment out there that we do this with. So if you see anything that's about an assessment or a skill survey, this is it. That's what you want. This is free. It's something we offer to help you get going. So go to itpath.net. You will find the free assessment on the homepage. Sign up for it. Take it. You're going to immediately get a link in an email. If you don't see it in your email immediately, go to your junk mail, look in your junk mail, make sure it's there. It literally takes about 10 minutes. You're going to click that link. You're going to take 10 minutes. Guess what? That 10 minutes is part of your 2-hour time spent on research. So now you've got 1 hour and 50 minutes left. You're already getting it done. So when you take the assessment, look carefully at the results. Take time with a spouse or a friend and go through what you find. This might take 30 minutes or so. This 30 minutes is also part of your research task. So now you've used up somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes to get this first part of this done, right? So now you've got 1 hour and 15 minutes left. So now take time to respond to the email where you received the link. Okay, that link that came to you, that's a live email. You can respond to it. I think it comes from mailing list at itpath.net. Respond to it and ask questions. Or better yet, when you take that survey, you're going to see a link on there to set up a free 30-minute discovery call. That call will now bring you even closer to your 2-hour limit of research. And you're going to get to speak to me. You're going to get to speak to a person about your IT path. So now you're less than 2 hours in, and guess what? You have action. On your free discovery call, we're going to talk about what interests you have, and I will make you some recommendations about how to get moving forward on your own IT journey. You're going to pick some recommendations and you're going to run with it. And you're going to write those down on your backlog. Then you're going to keep moving. You're going to take those backlog tasks, you're going to move them gradually over to doing and to done. Guess what? After that 2 hours, you're going to have your research task done. And you're going to have answers. Do I have a fit in IT? You're going to have an answer to that question by the time you get to the end of that 2 hours. And you're going to protect the rest of your time, and you're not going to get caught into time suck. You have action. Take it. It's all about controlling your time. Thank you for listening to the IT Path Podcast. You have been listening to the IT Path Podcast. Did you like this episode? Why not subscribe and share with others? IT Path is dedicated to helping you claim your IT journey. You can find out more at itpath.net.